Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Jamie and Chris on the show, and they are selling an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Jamie and Chris, how's your day going so far?
Yeah, it's going really well, thanks.
Yeah, good, thank you. Very good.
Fantastic. Well, really looking forward to diving into this conversation and hearing more about your business. But before I do that, I'm going to give the listeners a brief summary of the business so that they know more about what we're talking about. As I mentioned, this is an Amazon FBA and e-commerce business. It was created in January 2018, and it's in the kitchenware, bed and bath, and home niches. The average revenue for the business is $107,947 per month, and it makes an average of $24,164 per month in net profit. The assets included in the sale are an Amazon Seller Central account, a primary domain and all site content and files, secondary domains, freelancer relationships, supplier relationships, a Shopify account, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube social media accounts, trademarks, and an email list with over 20,000 subscribers. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 67741 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So with all of that out of the way, let's dive in. Jamie and Chris, can you fill us in on your backgrounds in starting and running online businesses?
Before starting our company, I don't think me or Chris really had any experience running an online business. We met actually about a year before starting our company in Mexico. We both had the desire to start an online business and achieve that kind of lifestyle that goes with it, but we just didn't really have much idea how to do it. So separately, we tried a few different things like drop shipping and blogging. But after about a year of doing that, we decided to give Amazon FBA a go, and both very hesitantly invested about £500 each of our own money and launched our first product.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, this business has done phenomenally well considering it was your first foray into online business. When you were deciding on what products to sell, how did you settle down into this niche?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of crave an operational model that offered a bit of flexibility, as Jamie had discussed previously. We both had different careers prior to this. Jamie was in banking and I worked in engineering. And it was during a trip to Vietnam, just a backpacking trip, essentially, or a sabbatical from work, that I discovered a few artisans crafting products with real great market potential in regions, obviously, such as the UK, Europe, US. Similar products, they weren't uncommon. But I think what intrigued us the most was the untold story behind the creations. And personally, I'm someone who believes that narrative plays such a huge part in selling products. So once we saw these products being made, we saw a massive unmatched opportunity really to embark on this adventure of storytelling first and foremost, as well as sharing combined passions for wanting to establish an ethical consumer products brand.
Yeah, I think that's great. As you say, I think narrative is becoming more and more important as consumers sort of demand a bit more authenticity from brands. Now, your business earns from quite a few different monetizations. You sell on quite a few different sales channels. Can you walk us through those various sales channels?
Yeah, so originally we did set out just to start and grow an Amazon FBA business. And the only real other additional revenue stream that we planned to have was our website, basically because we were based in Vietnam at that time and we were sending products back to the UK. So Amazon FBA seemed like quite an obvious choice. The problem was Chris did such a good job building our first website that after a few months, we just started receiving a ton of inquiries from different businesses asking to stock our products, asking us to rebrand them for their events. And I think it was after about sort of 3 or 4 months that we got our first big order from National Geographic, who wanted us to rebrand one of our products for an event that they were having. And so we started to see that there was a lot of potential off of Amazon as well. And that's when we started focusing on building out kind of like the wholesale side of the business. We created another website on Shopify, and we joined some various different wholesale platforms that quite a lot of Amazon FBA entrepreneurs might not have heard of. And then other than that, we sell on Etsy and eBay. And yeah, that's probably it for other platforms.
I think it's safe to say really that when we first begun our foray into e-commerce, that we didn't really know which direction to take the brand in. So we kind of just tried a little bit of everything at first. And this is why we kind of pivoted one way and then obviously then pivoted another way. And obviously I think that's worked well in our favor because it's made us quite a diverse brand as well.
Yeah, it's helped us, especially I think, for example, like when the pandemic happened and a lot of shops were shutting down around the world, we had Amazon to fall back on. And there's been times where sort of Amazon would take a dip and then we've had our wholesale business to fall back on. So the diversification of being on so many different platforms and having so many different opportunities has really helped us to keep stability in the company and keep growing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, diversification is a great way to protect your business from market fluctuations. So I think it's wonderful that you're able to do that. And so great that you had so much interest in your product so early on in the game. That's very unusual and sort of validates your choice of product as well. Given the success that the business has achieved, why have you decided to make an exit from the business now?
Obviously, the last 5 years has been such an adventure for us both. And as we've already mentioned, we didn't know too much about e-commerce at the start. We had completely different careers. And I just think that, we're at that stage now, that juncture, that we've devoted a large period of our lives to it, so to speak. And we're just looking for opportunities outside of the realm of e-commerce. The brand undoubtedly possesses immense potential. We believe the appropriate course of action, if you like, is to construct a team that can facilitate growth, which can propel the company into the high seven-figure revenue bracket. Achieving this goal demands, a lot of investment of time, effort, expertise. And although the possibility to achieve this is within reach, I think neither of us feel prepared at this particular stage to make such a commitment.
Yeah, certainly. Businesses of this size, to grow them further does require quite a lot of capital investment and time. So that all makes a lot of sense. Looking back over your journey with the business, I'm sure, as with any business, there were a lot of ups and downs. So are there any big success stories that stand out in your mind?
I think for me, it's not one moment, but the thing that I'm probably the most proud of is that we haven't needed to take any investment in 5 years of growing the business. I mean, in the first 6 months, we both put in around $5,000 each, and we paid that back by the end of the first year. And since then, we haven't taken any major loans or any investment or brought any outside capital in. So I think, being able to grow the business organically is definitely my proudest achievement.
Yeah, I would agree with Jamie. When we started, we didn't really know too much, as already mentioned. And I think that, taking that small sum of money at the start, even, as small as it was still quite a risk for us at the time. And I think to have grown the brand from sort of humble beginnings to where we are now is a huge achievement for us both and for the brands. And I also think that we've worked with quite a few big clients as well, especially on the wholesale front, which we can be proud of as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a fantastic achievement, especially given how cash flow intensive a lot of e-commerce businesses can be. I'm sure not everything went your way. So were there any obstacles or challenges that you had to face?
Brexit was just a nightmare for us. We'd recently just started selling on Amazon Pan EU, and we had a bunch of distributors across Europe. But after Brexit, they were getting hit with huge customs fees, and we found it really difficult to get back into Amazon's Pan EU warehouse. But luckily now, Amazon's found a really efficient way of transporting goods from the UK to the EU. So we don't tend to have that problem anymore. And for the wholesale side of things, we've mostly just had to pivot to the US and the UK markets.
Yeah, certainly. I think Amazon's growth within Europe and all the new distribution hubs that they've set up there have definitely helped with that regard. Let's pivot now and take a look at your traffic. Where do the majority of your customers come from and find your products? Are you using SEO or is it purely PPC campaigns on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, I'll discuss obviously the Amazon PPC. At the moment, I'm responsible for the PPC management myself, and it's a domain I've appreciated really exploring over the last couple of years. In my opinion, PPC management isn't exceedingly time consuming, and it kind of takes a little bit of oversight weekly rather than daily. So in terms of generating effective PPC campaigns, especially in our niche, I guess the approach for our particular brand, it needs to be a little bit more nuanced. To understand the customer and deciphering their search intent is pivotal. And I guess once you have an understanding of how PPC campaigns work in general, I think it's quite easy to then launch new products and use the same strategies that have been adopted, especially on the Amazon platform. I know Jamie will probably discuss more intrinsic elements of how SEO works for the brand for DTC. But yeah, that's my experience with the PPC.
Yeah, so Chris runs all the PPC campaigns on Amazon, and I sort of handle SEO off of Amazon. And we've been able to build up pretty good authority and relevancy in the niche that we sell in. And we now receive around sort of 20,000 web sessions a month, with around 10,000 coming from organic search. So it's a huge driver for our wholesale business, for our web sales, and just brand awareness in general. We run a few Google ads, but really that's the extent of the advertising that we do off of Amazon. Yeah, it's obviously a huge area of opportunity for someone with that kind of expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's follow on from that train of thought. So, what do you identify as the biggest opportunities that buyers can really tap into once they've taken over your business?
I think there's many opportunities. I think one of the main opportunities really would be the expansion of our existing product range into Amazon US. This is a marketplace that we haven't really focused too much of our attention on, simply because we're both from the UK. It was easier for us to scale the brand into the UK first and foremost and into Europe prior to Brexit. And because we are so diversified, we decided to, concentrate on the UK market, concentrate on Amazon in the UK, and obviously factor the sales that were being made on the website as well as wholesale, and really become leaders within the country that we're most familiar with. So I think that's a huge opportunity there, especially with a couple of our best-selling products, to diversify those sales towards the US marketplace for sure.
We have a big opportunity in that shipping costs have dropped off by about sort of 80% over the past year and a half. So when a buyer's looking at our business on Empire Flippers, the cost of goods that they see is factoring in the absurdly high shipping costs from that post-pandemic period where shipping containers were very expensive. But now we used to pay, I think, around sort of $16,000 to $17,000 for a 40-foot container, and now we're paying around $5,000. So those kind of cost of goods reductions are just starting to filter through to our bottom line, which is obviously an opportunity that will kind of be automatically recouped throughout 2023.
We've also gone through an extensive package redesign as well, and we've managed to take off around 50 to 60% of some of our best-selling products, which hasn't actually filtered through into the supply chain just yet and into the profit margins being made, not just on Amazon, but also on our D2C website and through wholesale as well. One of our best-selling products, especially, we've done really well with the package redesign there. And we've probably saved, I'm not too sure the exact numbers, I think Jamie can discuss that. I think we've managed to reduce the package size by about 60%, and it's made us way more efficient on Amazon, especially in the UK and Europe. And those cost savings have yet to be realized, if you like, because the new stock is currently filtering through.
Yeah, I think what the pandemic made us realize is when shipping container costs shot up, we realized that we had to be more efficient with our packaging, whereas before we just sort of accepted suppliers' ideas on how big the packaging should be because it was so cheap to ship. But now we've had a complete redesign of a lot of packaging. We've gone back and tried to make things as small and compact as they can be. And by doing that, we're saving on shipping costs from Asia to the UK and the US markets, but we're also saving shipping costs from Amazon's FBA fees and things like that. And those kind of cost savings are just really filtering into our profit and loss. And it's just really an opportunity that will be automatically realized over time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a fantastic opportunity to bring up. Those aren't small margins. Those are really big numbers. as you say, the buyer will sort of automatically inherit that benefit. So fantastic opportunity. Honing in on your supply chain, can you walk me through where your suppliers are based and how the inventory gets from the suppliers to Amazon and through to your other sales channels fulfillment as well?
Yeah. So I think our supply chain is probably one of our biggest assets. We lived in Vietnam, me and Chris, for nearly 2 years when we started the business. So we understand the landscape very well and how much things cost really well as well. So in the early days of our business, we'd go out and we would visit these manufacturers directly and see how everything was produced, take a bunch of videos and photos for our website and social channels. And we'd be able to negotiate the best prices because we were going directly to the suppliers. And that was great because it allowed us to find the very best products and get the very best prices. But our supply chain at that point was a bit fragmented. But now we work with a partner in Hanoi, and she sort of says, look, give us your orders. We'll connect with all the other suppliers that you buy from. We'll bundle everything together and we'll help ship it all out to the US market or the UK market or wherever you're sending it. So now we kind of just speak to one person, everything's centralized, and she sort of handles putting in orders with our various different suppliers. And then in China, it's a similar situation. We will place orders with our suppliers over there, of which we have about 3 or 4 different suppliers, and they'll send everything to our freight agent in Shenzhen, and he'll just quality check everything, bundle everything up, and send it to us in the UK or the US.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like a very streamlined process, which again, for a business of this size is unusual. I'm not sure if you mentioned it. Are your products shipped by air or by sea?
Pretty much everything is shipped by sea. The only time we'd ever really send a product by air is potentially if we were launching something and we just wanted to get it out really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Definitely more cost effective that way as well. And how long does it normally take for you to replenish inventory from the day you order it to the day it arrives in Amazon warehouses?
Yeah, so from Vietnam, it can take a little bit longer than from China. So from China, it normally takes around like 45 days or 45 to 60 days, something like that. And from Vietnam, it can take up to about 90 days just because the shipping times are normally about 60 days to the UK. So yeah, it's a little bit longer from Vietnam.
Essentially, we also have as well, which we believe is, one of our strengths, is our own warehouse fulfillment center, distribution center in the UK. And this is something that a potential buyer may want to keep. They may want to get rid of this. But for us, it's worked quite well over the last 3 years, simply because we have a warehouse manager who manages this warehouse and can send stock to and from Amazon warehouses in the UK and in Europe. So it's enabled us to stay quite lean with our stock rotation in Amazon. It's enabled us to just top up as and when required, so we don't have surplus stock. We're not paying extreme amounts of storage costs in Amazon. And it's enabled us to sort of navigate the problems that we faced with Brexit, which, we now use a system called PCP program via Amazon, which means that we can actually send products from the UK warehouse that we have to address in the UK, and then they take care of the customs and the limited fiscal representation on our behalf. So that's really enabled us to keep control of all of our stock in the UK and European Amazon warehouses.
A good asset to mention that can definitely come in handy. What are your inventory limits like in Amazon warehouses? And I presume this other warehouse that you mentioned probably helps a bit with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. At this present time in the UK, we're actually using 17.2%. So that equates to 177.8 out of 1,030 cubic feet. So we've got a super amount of room there. In the EU, we're using 22.58%. We like to get a little bit further ahead with the EU stock, simply because obviously customs, it takes a little bit of time to send from the UK to the EU, around about 2 weeks to be checked in. And then in the US, we are only using 10% of our stock limit. So we have no problem at all with the stock limits in Amazon at all.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great to hear. Given how smoothly everything seems to be running, what does a typical work week look like for both of you? How many hours do you each spend on the business? And what sort of tasks do you focus the majority of your time on?
My day largely consists of reviewing Amazon sales data and business emails, coordinating with members of our team, including, say, our warehouse manager, customer services manager. We also have a communications manager as well, who handles most of our social media. So most of the first part of my day, I suppose, is just to oversee and see what's happening in regards to sales, etc. I sometimes liaise with our Amazon VA to discuss upcoming tasks related to product catalog, etc. And I also look at ways that we can improve our creative output through our marketing efforts, as well as creating ideas for new packaging, visual content, point of sale, etc. And then beyond these routine tasks, should I say, I dedicate a large portion of my time to seeking opportunities for business growth, competitor research, etc., and brainstorming new ideas for products. And this aspect of my day-to-day role really keeps me engaged and ensures our business continues to innovate and evolve.
Yeah. And for me, I think I normally wake up and go through all of our wholesale emails and different contacts that we've had through like our business form on our website, check out like web traffic and keep an eye on that, and look at our Shopify analytics, Arwin, like affiliate scheme analytics and things like that. Probably takes me about an hour or 2 hours on a busy day. And that's sort of like keeping the business running kind of tasks. And then after that, I would just dedicate time to either sales, finding new clients, or reaching out to existing clients to see if they could, purchase more products. SEO work, so looking for backlinks or writing content or preparing content for the website. And then inventory management, just making sure that we're on top of our stock levels and we're not going to run out of any stock. So speaking to suppliers and that sort of thing. And that's sort of, if we're looking to grow the different aspects of the business, and I could spend the unlimited amounts of time on that, or you can really just sort of take care of the immediate running of the business and leave those tasks.
Yeah, fantastic. And do you work with any contractors or employees to help you maintain the business?
Yeah, we have a couple that we work with. Most of them are contractors. In fact, all of them are contractors. We have a girl called Mel who's fantastic at managing our communications. She does TikTok, she does YouTube, she makes all of our content, email marketing. We're very much into building communities with our brand as well. Our products are very much synonymous with the community. And I think that one of our biggest assets has been Mel, and she's very good at what she does. It enables us to, stay relevant. So that's one member of staff that we've, been working with for the last year. We have customer services manager. We have a VA who helps us with Amazon related tasks. We also have a warehouse manager, which Jamie will be able to explain a little bit more in detail.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so he'll just sort of go onto our wholesale platforms and fulfill any orders, really. And also, I think he keeps an eye on our 3PL and Amazon stock and make sure to prepare that all really well and send it off. But he's quite autonomous, really. Orders sort of come in through our wholesale platforms and he just takes them, fulfills them. And yeah, that's all there is to it.
It's quite a good system that we have now, really. We just check in every morning with either Mel, the customer services manager, Craig, or Hannah. And essentially, they're so well versed now with what they do. We've created extensive SOPs for them to follow. So it's just really a case of just focusing an hour or so in the morning just to make sure everything's going okay. And that's kind of it, really.
Yeah, fantastic. It sounds like you've got a really well thought out setup going. Are these contractors, will they be available to work with the buyer?
Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. And it sounds like you've really thought through every process of the business, every different section of the business to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So with that in mind, what sort of challenges do you think a buyer may encounter when they take over the business and as they transition into that role?
Yeah, I think it depends on the way, like what route the buyer wants to take the business. There's a lot of opportunities to capitalize on, and we've built a company that's very diversified in terms of revenue streams and also in the product range that we have. But the new kind of custodian of the business, I think, will have to isolate the area that they see as the most opportunity and go for it. But we've at times felt like we're kind of drowning in opportunity because there's so many different avenues to exploit. So narrowing down what to kind of attack and go for that, I think, will be a big challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great challenge to have, but a challenge nonetheless. As the buyer sort of navigates these things, how much support are you willing to offer them to help them ease into that transition?
Yeah, I think we both discussed we would be more than happy to stay on board for a period of 4 to 6 months, simply because we have so much confidence in the brand. And this has been a labour of love for us over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's our baby. So we really love what we've built, and we want to show our commitment to a potential buyer by, offering our services, whether that be in the form of advisory roles or consultancy roles, or whether they want to discuss the potential of employment. But we see many opportunities with the brand moving forward, and we are more than happy to give that support to any buyer if they want to take that.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that'll be a huge help for the buyer. Definitely a weight off their shoulders. When it comes time to sit down with potential buyers and negotiate the aspects of the sale, would you be open to something like an earnout agreement?
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally open to talking about the structure of the deal. We've put a lot of hard work into building a successful and profitable business, and we're both very confident that it's going to continue to do well, which is why we'd be open to a structure like an earnout. But really, it just depends on, if the targets and the expectations are set at a reasonable level. And if they are, then we're fully happy to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And would you be open to a non-compete agreement?
Yeah, we're definitely not going to be competing with the business.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, Jamie and Chris, that leads us into the final question of the interview. If you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
I think that the brand that we've created over the last 4 or 5 years, we've really focused on building a community with our customers and our audience. We're very much into creating a narrative behind our products. Building a community was really important to us. I think that people buy experiences rather than products themselves. And we have basically have this philosophy instilled into the fabric of our brand, really. So I think any potential buyer is not just buying the sales data, so to speak, of where we've taken the brand. They're actually buying a community. They're buying a brand that has meaning all the way through from the logo design, through the illustrations that we've had drawn for us. Everything that we've put into this brand has come from the perspective of the customers that we're selling those products to. So I think that, the brand itself is solid. We're very proud of what we've built. And I think that is, going to be a real easy win for a potential buyer who wants to take the brand forward and look to scale it.
Yeah, and following up on what Chris has said, I think that there's a huge number of quite obvious opportunities for expanding the brand. Like, namely, I think Amazon.com is just a huge opportunity for us. We're at the moment selling just a small amount of our overall sales in the US market, but most of our best-selling products haven't really hit sort of that market yet. So we'd expect that that's going to be an absolutely mammoth opportunity. And secondly, just circling back to what we talked about earlier, that last year, the year before, our costs were dramatically higher because of the shipping container crisis, and also that we used less efficient packaging. So just by running the business, they're going to make more profit at the same level if sales remain the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly sounds like you've got a very well thought out business, and that you've built a good foundation for buyers to expand on, with many opportunities for them to really tap into. Are there any other details about your business that you'd like to share with our listeners before we finish up?
Yeah, I think that one of the questions that keeps cropping up really when we talk about wanting to sell the brand is, why do you want to sell it? And I know we've already touched upon, the reasons for selling, but I think it's worth reinstating really that we have grown this business with all of our energies over the last 4 years, and we're very proud of what we've built, as already mentioned. But I think now is the stage to be able to, or take it to the next stage. And I think for that to happen, it needs investment. It needs someone who can come in, scale it, and it can go to the heights that we believe that it can go to. But in terms of where we fit into that, I think that we've taken it to where we can take it to. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity for a potential buyer to come in and just take it to that next level, because, it has the potential to go there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although with that being said, I think if we didn't get the right offer, I think me and Chris are both not adverse to digging deep and continuing to run the business to try and get to those heights. But yeah, after 5 years of ploughing away, it's time for a break.
Yeah, certainly. You've served your time, and I think you've earned your break, that's for sure. Jamie and Chris, thank you so much for coming onto the show and sharing some details about your business. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks very much. We've enjoyed it. Thanks.
Fantastic. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 67741. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.